Hi guys, welcome back to Women Wine and Wisdom. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Naomi.
And obviously we're going to kick it with a dilemma
Yeah.
before we get into our topic.
Let's get into it.
Me, 40-year-old, husband 43, his temper is affecting our kids more than I thought. Right. First time posting, and I'm sorry that it's really long.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, girl, we got you.
Yeah, we got you.
My daughter's words broke my heart today. While teary-eyed, she asked, how can you still be in love with someone like that? Referring to my husband, her dad. Then she started crying. And my son, sitting across from her, also started crying and shaking his head saying, yeah. This is right after my husband came out of the hallway looking and acting very angry with a dirty dog pad and seeing the baby had changed the channel from the football game he was watching. A little background. We have been together for 24 years. Wow. Married for 15 years. My daughter is 13 and my son is 10. The baby is 18 months old. My husband does have a slight temper and anger issues, even while driving, which unfortunately the kids have witnessed and experienced. He has also punched a hole through the bedroom door, replaced the door, and punched another hole in it again. Again, the kids have witnessed this. I didn't realise how strongly the kids feel about his behaviour. I didn't think it was a big deal because it was never directed at them. If anything, I thought I'm the one usually having to punish them. He's the fun one, aka the fun parent. As far as tonight episode goes, it does seem extreme to me. I understood he was stressed from work, our dog peeing and pooping everywhere, our AC being broken for a couple of days, and us suffering from heat, etc. When I told him the kids are upset, scared of you, and can you please apologize to them, he said, good, mission accomplished.
What?
They should be scared of us, of one of us. I don't know what to make of that. Was he being sarcastic, funny, or serious? So no apology. He always sucked at apologies anyway. This is why we were saying earlier, it's really important to be able to say sorry. He used to always say, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
But he has gotten a lot better and gives more meaningful ones now, although still very rare. This conversation happened while he was feeding the baby. The baby kicked his food and stuck his foot in the bowl.
Good. That baby knows something we don't know.
This caused my husband to hit the baby's leg. And it was really hard. The baby started crying, of course. Actually left a fingerprint on the skin.
Oh, no.
Raised a little bit. A baby, 18 months.
That's too much. That is too much.
When my son saw that, along hearing him say good, he started crying. I asked my son if he wanted to write down what he was feeling since he wasn't able to voice it at that moment. He wrote down, he always hits the baby and hits the dog. He never cares about any of us. He only cares about himself, and I feel sad. When I read that, I felt broken for my son feeling this way, but also confused. I know my husband loves us, spends a lot of time with us. Overall, I thought he was a great dad. His anger has never been directed at us. He doesn't always hit the baby. This was the first time, which I still haven't addressed properly with him, but I will tonight. I think other times of him hitting my son is referring to are when he lightly taps the baby's hand and says, no, you don't do that. When he does something like this, gets into something he isn't supposed to, like shaking the table lamp, or making it fall, putting a shoe in his mouth, or pulling on the curtains. Since I was a little bit confused, I asked my son what he meant by he doesn't care about us. My son said, Dad makes jokes when we feel sad or hurt. And I have seen this because whenever my son is upset about something, and just wants to let his feelings out, or is upset because he doesn't draw that well, my husband tells me not to lie to him and say he's doing a great job because we can't tell him he's good at everything. He needs to learn the truth and understand disappointment too. Sounds like he's trying to be a man and raise a son, right? But I don't lie to my kids. I know he doesn't draw that well. So instead of saying things like, I love the colours you've chosen, but my husband says he should know that he's not great. On a side note, my husband and daughter are very talented artistically, so that makes my son feel even worse. I don't know what to do. My kids are wondering why I'm still with my husband. I feel like my head was buried in the sand. How did I not notice their feelings? I thought we had an amazing and loving family. I know my husband won't go to therapy because if I ever mention it in the past, he just rolls his eyes. I'm honestly scared of putting my kids in therapy because of what they'll say. There's no physical abuse, but the way my son views it, it seems like it's very extreme. Yeah. My husband's bad moods aren't an everyday thing. My husband spends a lot of time with the kids, going over homework, working on projects, playing sports with them, playing video games and board games with them, also while reading with them. Especially when they were younger, giving them baths when they were younger. I would do the main part and he would come in after and play with them because they love being in water and I couldn't stand the heat. He's a great dad that loves them and loves spending time with them. Why are they only seeing the negative in him? How do I fix that? I will talk to my husband about what he says to them and his behavior, obviously, but I don't know what else to do. My kids were seriously asking why I'm still with him and how I can love him. I love him. I'm still very much in love with him. He is my best friend. And I feel like I'm letting my kids down and disappointing them for still loving my husband.
Whew, that is a serious one. There's a lot of elements to that.
There's so many things that need to be unpacked in that. The fact that, again, the no apology, the consistent punching holes through the door even after replacing them, hitting the baby so hard, an 18-month-old baby that their skin raises, I think. Yeah. And I think, again, in regards to, it's not even just physical abuse, because there is ways in which you can talk to children that they don't feel so bad. Understanding disappointment is fine. I understand that you don't want the child to be like, but you tell them, you know what, you're really, you might not be so great at this, but you know what you are great at? You're great at this.
Yeah.
And that's your skills in on that. There's ways to communicate.
There's so many different ways that you can parent where your kids don't have to be scared of you.
Facts.
And I think like trying to push this whole narrative of my child needs to be scared of me.
It's crazy.
It's so insane to me.
Yeah.
Because your child is never going to want to come to you and talk to you.
Yeah.
Will never want to respect you.
Your child needs to respect you. They don't need to be scared of you.
Exactly. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, I could be really throwing myself out here, but do you feel like it could be a male thing? Do you feel like a lot of fathers want their kids to be scared of them?
No. I haven't, my dad has never once ever hit me, ever. I don't think he wants me to be scared of him whatsoever.
No, I hear that. But I'm like, in a general sense, because there's this whole, because I do feel like society builds this narrative of like the dad is the disciplinarian. And because there's always that thing of when a mum is trying to discipline their child and then they say, you wait until your dad gets home, or I'm going to tell your dad.
Because dad's normally bigger. Yeah, I don't think...
But dads aren't always physically bigger. It's just that I'm going to tell your dad. And then all of a sudden, the kids change the narrative and they're like...
Because mum's always doing all the discipline. So it's different when dad does it. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're scared of dad. But when dad gets involved, it's more serious.
But that's the thing. But I think it is the element of fear. Because it's when you hear the word, I'm going to tell your dad, I think that does like evoke a sense of fear in them. And not necessarily that they're scared of their dad, that they don't ever want to talk to their dad or anything like that. But it's like, you know, the tempo is about to change if my dad hears about this. So I think some people get carried away and they get too, it then becomes the abuse, like the physical abuse where the beating is a bit too aggressive or, because I'm not totally against giving a tap or little things like that. Especially growing up in an African household, that's where we're very used to that kind of stuff. But I think it's different when your skin is being imprinted or there's marks on your body. That to me is taking it too far. And I don't think that's the type of fear that you should be instilling, if any fear at all. But I do feel like there is that thing of like, if I say I'm going to tell your dad, it switches up the tempo when it comes to kids.
No, I do agree, but I don't know if that's again, because I feel like it depends though, because it depends on the dynamic of the household. But I'm going to speak from the dynamic where the dad's rarely involved and the kids really get in trouble with dad. I'm seeing it from that perspective as opposed to because they're scared of dad, because I feel like most kids are scared of their mother. I actually feel like most because the mother's normally the one that beats you. So I actually feel, so that's why I'm in my head, I'm like, because what you're saying is very interesting, and I do actually see the point in that, and I kind of agree. And at the same time, I'm like, I want to question it, because I'm like, is it the fact that, because obviously there definitely is that element, of course. And at the same time, I'm like, is it because dad you don't really get in trouble with dad?
It could also be that. I think sometimes, like, if dad is usually the one, because mums, they shout all the time.
Exactly.
So, like, if you hear your mum shout, you're just like,
you get used to it.
She's just raising her voice again.
As always.
But hearing your dad get out of character, or seeing your dad in an emotional state, because anger is a form of emotion, just in case you're thinking he's crying, I'm talking about him crying. But seeing your dad get in an emotional state for a child could be like, oh, wow, like I've actually, you know, pushed him to get into this state of anger. Which means like, oh, I've done something really bad. But when, like you say, when you see it happen, if your mum is the primary disciplinarian, then a lot of the times you're just so used to it that you probably don't even take it that seriously.
That's why I'm like, it could be a bit of both. Interesting dilemma, guys. Let us know what you think, like, in that regard. Because personally, I feel like, again, she does love him. It is her best friend.
They've been together for many years.
Many years. He's never physically harmed her from the sounds of it. But do you know one thing, though? He sounds like he needs his own version of therapy.
I think so.
Yeah.
And he also, I think one thing as a parent that I feel like a lot of people don't always either have or know they have is patience.
Yes.
And patience is, I feel like, is so important when you're a parent, because your kids are going to do things that can irritate you naturally because there's a lack of patience, lack of understanding, lack of being able to really communicate in a way where they can understand.
Yes.
So it's like, for example, you telling your child, don't do that. But then the child just thinks it's funny. So they go back and do it again. And then you're now shouting at them.
But what's more annoying about that is patience is a life skill that we should have. People tend to have more patience in their relationships when the man is doing rubbish than for their kids. So I agree. I feel like, no, it's true. Because if you can extend that level of patience for a partner that's treating you badly, rubbish, and at work as well. They'll be running you left, right, and centre into the ground, and you have patience for that. You should be able to extend that patience to your kids.
Yeah, you need to learn
or don't have them.
Yeah, well, that part.
Life skill.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's always that easy.
But I also wonder, because the kids seem like there's quite an age gap. I can't remember
13 and 10.
13 and 10, and then you got 18-month-old.
18 months, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that child was maybe unplanned. He wasn't expecting it, because if they've been together, how old were they? Did it say?
Yeah, I think it's a 20. They're 40 and 43.
So maybe he wasn't expecting to start back life again with a child, and so his patience at the age of 40 is probably different to what he would have had when he was maybe in his 20s or 30s. Maybe. I'm not giving him an excuse, but I'm just thinking maybe because it seems like it's a newish issue as opposed to
no, she said he always had anger issues.
Yeah,
she said he always had anger issues.
I don't know why she went to go and have a third child with him then. That's maybe on her.
But that's what I'm saying. But because again, I think what the difference is that she's not seeing it as a big deal
it's her
than
child.
The kids that are seeing. Yeah, because for her, she's probably like, he's never physically hit me. He shouts at he has road rage, for example. A lot of people have road rage and they don't see it as and they don't see it as, do you know what I mean? They don't see it as a thing. So for her, I think she's just like, I didn't actually realize it was a thing until my kids brought it up to me.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Let us know what you
think. Yeah, because I'm very curious.
Yeah. Okay, so should we introduce our wine?
Yes, girl, go ahead. I was about to just take it. No, pick up the
glass.
bottle.
Look at you. Okay, so this is called 1000 Stories. It's a Zinfandel from California. It's a vintage 2020. Bourbon barrel. It's aged.
Ooh, lovely. That might be nice.
14.5%.
Yeah, it's a strong bottle of wine.
It's a strong one. Ooh, it's deep as well.
So it should be nice. It smells good though. The aroma's nice.
Yeah, it smells lovely.
It smells nice, yeah.
Okay, I'm interested. It's got a hint of caramel in this.
I'm not
Actually,
surprised.
have a sip. Tell me what you think is in here. What do you think? What's in there? What are you tasting?
Oh, I don't.
There's some interesting flavors in here. This is one thing I love about wine. It just tells such a story. And funnily enough, this is obviously called 1000 Stories, but
yeah, again, it makes sense because if it's aged in a bourbon barrel, that'll be one thing. What's in it though?
It's quite an interesting one.
It's a very interesting mix, right? Because I can taste.
Yeah.
I smell dark fruit, so like plum. Is it like blackberry? Or is it gooseberry?
Do you know what it is? I can't even see those flavors in there. What I'm seeing here is charred vanilla, dried herbs, and a hint of caramel.
Hint of caramel, I can get that at the end. Right at the end.
Okay. Let's have a little sippy sip. It smells divine.
It smells wonderful, doesn't it? The aroma's lovely.
This smells like almost like a candle that you can have in your house. Yeah.
Yeah. High acid, for sure. My mouth is watering. Like, as soon as it touches my mouth, my entire mouth waters. So that's one thing.
Oh, this is lovely.
Normally from,
I do love a Zinfandel, yeah.
Yeah, normally, even white Zinfandel genuinely is California region, yeah. I don't get the vanilla much.
I get it in the smell. It smells like an oaky vanilla.
Yes. I don't get it in the taste.
Not in the taste.
Yeah. There's got to be
Ooh.
black fruit in here. Not black, dark fruit in
Dark
here.
fruit for sure, like a blackberry.
Yeah, plum.
That tastes nice.
It does
Guys,
taste nice.
That is a nice red.
Yeah, and it's smooth.
Mm.
But then I'm like, is that the
It tastes
bourbon
expensive.
smooth?
No, definitely does.
Is that the bourbon smooth? Because it's actually really smooth for a red.
Yeah, I like that. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that a bit too much, guys. So let's get into our topic.
Very smooth. Oh my God.
So we're going to be talking about
Even
why
if
our
the-
generation is unhappy.
Yeah, why are you so unhappy?
Why are you people unhappy?
Tell me.
Killer Day, what's going on? Talk to us.
Well, sorry, Auntie Jummy and Auntie Naomi. Happy Auntie for like a.
Can you translate for the people that don't understand?
Please come and speak to Auntie Jummy and Auntie Naomi. Yeah, why? Well, I want to say why are we all so unhappy, but I'm not unhappy. So
yeah, well,
yeah. But why is our generation so unhappy?
why?
First things first.
First things first. I think a large part of what makes our generation unhappy is social media. I have said this before,
You
and
said
I'll
it
say it
before,
again.
Yeah,
But I do think,
that's why I said first things first. I knew that was coming.
but I think a lot of what we see on social media sets the bar for what we expect our lives to be. And I think a lot of people just compare themselves.
Yeah.
They will see what's happening in other parts of the world or with friends or, you know, with other people who are around their age, and they feel like they are underachieving or they're not where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that does play a part on making the generation very unhappy.
It does. And I know you said it before, and I do agree. Social media is a very big thing again, but comparison's the thief of all joy.
Yeah.
You guys should know better by now. Unless you're under the age of like 27, realistically, again, I mean, this is me being very direct, but you need to get a grip.
No, but do you know what? Some people really do have the battle. And
No, we all do.
And yeah, and I
100%.
get it. But I think like
But get a grip. Because do you know why I say get a grip now?
Why?
Only because there is so much uninfluenced things now that are going around on social media, and there's so many influencers speaking up about it's not what it appears to be. We see the crumbling of multiple relationships. So like at the end of the day, if somebody lied to your face 5 times, are you going to go back and say yeah and compare yourself to them? You're not.
No.
It's exactly the same in pictures.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's like, while I do 100% agree that social media is definitely one of the in fact one of the major things as to why our generation is unhappy.
Yeah.
Get a grip.
Yeah. You've heard it first. You've heard it from Auntie Jumi. Get a effing grip.
Basically.
But I think like on top of that, I feel like you should find ways of dealing and coping, because we do live in a social media led like generation.
We do.
Where everybody is on social media. Everybody has a form of social media
Yes.
account or whatever. I'm sure my mum even has one
My mum
kind
do.
of Facebook or something.
Yeah, my mum does too.
But like, so you're constantly seeing what's going on in other people's lives or what they portray.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, maybe if you've got 5 different platforms, maybe just tuning it down to 1 or 2 or none at all. You know, like try to create your own safe haven.
Yeah.
So rather than
Get a grip. Because
just get a grip.
Get a grip.
Like if you feel like Instagram is one of the platforms that always, you know, is constantly triggers you because it's always showing you algorithms. So if you're constantly talking about babies, you're probably going to always see posts about babies. If you're always talking about marriages, you're always going to see posts about marriages. So you're only seeing a fraction. You know, it's not a real depiction of what's happening with everyone in the world. So you need to really get to understand that it is just showing you a snapshot. And even that, in that picture that you're seeing, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. You don't know if you just cheated on her last night.
A picture shows 1,000 words. So you might see one thing and I might see 10 different things. You know what I mean? So 100% I agree with that. But
so don't let it like consume you too much.
Yeah, and even again, following on from that, in terms of like what you said about the 5 social media platforms and going down to 2, there is a reason why we have so many tools now on our phones in terms of screen time, silencing, do not disturb. Exactly.
Yeah.
I honestly, genuinely feel like at this point, if you're really still suffering from because of social media, it's actually partly your fault.
Yeah, it's a you thing.
Yeah,
it's a you thing. You can control it.
Yeah, because maybe before, when there wasn't as many things in place, we could be like, yeah, social media, this is it's causing depression, it's driving anxiety. Yeah, it would be if you're sat doing it all day,
every day.
Because if you're sat scrolling on social media every day, it means you're not busy doing anything else. You're not productive doing anything else.
You're not productive at all. But then that's the thing. It's like you say social media, but then how was people coping before when people were reading magazines, newspapers,
exactly the same thing.
like news on the TV? there's always been a media outlet. There's
for
always
comparison.
been for comparison. So what was happening when our parents didn't even see black women on magazines?
That's why I'm like, get a grip.
And they were. Do you see what I mean?
That's why I say get a grip.
You have to just figure out a way to navigate that. Learn to love yourself. Learn to be content with who you are, and not feel the pressures of society.
And just to counteract that, again, just going back to what I said, is that if you're above a certain age, because I think that comes with maturity. I feel like maybe when you're younger, you can actually be like, oh yeah, social media this. But I'm not being funny. At 30 plus, surely at this point, you have gone through enough experiences with your friends and with your own people where you see they're posting one thing and it's different behind closed doors. So if you're younger, I can understand that as an excuse.
Yeah.
And as an older person, I will be looking at you like,
you should know better. Not the snap of the neck.
Legit. You should know better. And that brings me to the next point is the reason why we're so unhappy is because our generation doesn't have grit.
Yeah.
So like we just don't have the perseverance sometimes to make things happen or to get through difficult situations or to take accountability for certain things. Because again,
100%.
if you're sat there saying, oh yeah, she's doing this on social media, she's doing this, she's probably out there taking 5 hours of content and you're sat there scrolling on her page.
Yep. Watching
Or
her
his page,
as she
sorry.
progresses.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I think
some grit.
Yeah.
Take some accountability.
Yeah.
Your life is the way it is and where you are because of the choices that you made. And there we go.
Yeah. Take you literally. And that's the thing. I always say that we live in a microwave society where everybody expects things to be done in 50 seconds.
Instant gratification.
1 minute.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Yep.
It doesn't work like that.
Yep.
That's just not how life works. So stop expecting things to happen like overnight. It doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you have to prepare it, put it in the oven, allow it to cook, allow it to stew.
Spoken.
Give it some time to really, marinate. But instead, we just want things happening now. Like we want instant, like you say, instant gratification. Yeah. We just want the joys of right now. And if it's not giving us joy, we're not willing to endure and go the distance.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point because I'm not going to go into it too much because I'm not a scientist and I don't really know it fully. But that goes to that whole serotonin, dopamine and all those factors. Because obviously when you get likes, it's giving you that dopamine effect and
joy.
boost.
Yeah.
But can I just say that just because somebody likes you on social media, it does not mean that they like you in real life.
Come on.
So again,
come on.
we need to start living in the real world and not the fake one.
Exactly.
And social media is unfortunately
a fake world
because
it's not
a picture
reality.
doesn't show you exactly
like
you see what you want to see. And a lot of the times we're probably projecting on that situation. It's like, oh yeah, this looks like this looks like this from this angle. You don't know.
Exactly. There's a lot of work that goes into making things what they are. So even like this podcast. There's a lot.
Tell them what happens behind the scenes.
Let me just drink one wine. No, it's
I will
a
drink
lot.
one wine.
Thank you. Be drinking for me. But it's a lot goes into it. The preparation, the research, the time, the money. So when some people think it's just we turn up and we talk, it's just not that simple.
It's just not that simple.
It's not that simple.
People, oh my God, it's so easy. It looks like, is it?
Oh, okay.
I'd love to see you do it as well.
I would love.
Yeah, and consistently as well. Because again, they always say like podcasts always. Did we miss our birthday?
We missed our birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, babes. Cheers to women, wine and wisdom. Can you imagine?
We actually missed our birthday.
Yeah. I can only laugh about that. I was like, wait a second. Well, it's a blonde moment for us. But yeah. So why else are we so unhappy?
I feel like I think mainly I think pressure is a big one.
Pressures are definitely a big one.
I think pressure. I think like especially when you reach a certain age, or even just ages in general. At certain ages, people expect certain milestones. When you're 21, everyone expects you to have graduated.
Yes.
When you're 25, people expect you to marry. When you've had your first child, people expect you to have your second. Yes. So it's just the constant pressures of life. And I think when things are not happening to you and it's beyond your control, it does impact you a lot. It makes people feel like they're not where they need to be.
Yes. And then bringing perfectly into the next point is that the reason why our generation is so unhappy as well is because you're not content. And that's the thing, you need to be able to be content because like you said, some situations are not within our control.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't really be beating yourself up for something that's not within your control.
Exactly.
So if something is in your control, then you can beat yourself up. If something's outside of your control though, why should you be punishing yourself for that? So we need to, again, be more content in certain situations. Now, if you know that you're not doing enough, goes back to the whole grit thing, then you can be like, oh, I'm not in the right place.
I can do better.
But if you've been doing what you can and you're taking those daily actions and those daily steps, more time you will feel contentment.
Yeah.
Because you know long term, if you keep on going, it's gonna come through.
Yeah.
Something's gonna push through. So contentment. And a lot of us are going through this life aimlessly.
Yeah.
No purpose.
Yeah.
If you're waking up every morning and you're doing what you need to do, what God has sent you to this earth to do, or what you feel God has sent you to this earth to do, I feel like you can feel more contentment. You have the drive to keep working towards something. So you don't even feel the need to come. Because I don't really like, even when I look at my friends, I'm like, we are all so different.
Yeah.
I can't even compare myself to you.
Yeah.
Because we bring different things to the table.
Yeah.
And we're all content in where we are at.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
We're always going to aspire for more.
Exactly.
We're always going to want more.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing. It's like, it literally is like what my mum always says about making sure that you wake up with a purpose, making sure that you wake up with having something that you want to do in life and having a reason to get up every morning. Because if you have a reason to get up every morning, it's
easier.
It's easier.
You're
it's
happy.
Easier. Yeah. So it makes sense. And that's the thing. It's like everyone does have their own journey. Everyone does have their own purpose. And, you know, everyone's run is different. So you don't need to look at the next person's journey and want to take from them. It's just focusing on your own journey and your own, what drives you, what is motivating you, because your motivator is what's going to get you to where you're getting to. And also knowing that everyone is so different.
So different.
Like the things that have impacted me are the reasons for my drive and my motivation.
Facts.
And same with you.
Drive, take motivation and things from your life experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I like that one.
Yeah. So everyone's journey is going to be very different, and you can respect it and you can cheer people from the sidelines, and just know that they're going to get to where they need to get to. You're going to get to where you need to get to.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about being in the same stadium to run the same race. Go to a different stadium.
Yeah. Do you know another thing that's really interesting as well? I genuinely feel like as well is that you have to, like to be a happier person as well. And this might be just in general, but you have to want to bring people along the journey with you. So like not making comparisons, but be happy to support other people in their summer season while it's your winter season.
Yeah.
Because genuinely God sees your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And like good things happen to good people. It might not happen straight away or necessarily when you want to do it. But again, thinking, oh yeah, if I don't help her here, it might not work for her.
No,
it's going to come back to you.
That's wild.
Again, continuing on to why we are so unhappy in our generation.
Yeah, so I think political reasons as well.
Okay.
So at the moment, I'm sure everybody is suffering from the cost of living crisis.
Yes.
So I think sometimes that can also have an impact. I think with the lack of pay rises across like many businesses.
Yep.
I think a lot more people are finding it harder to be able to afford just simple luxuries, like taking themselves out to eat and things like that, which could help bring joy into their life.
Yeah.
Or literally just having to spend so much more money on bills. Maybe not feeling that they can afford to buy their own home if their aim was to buy a home.
Yeah.
The job market here is a bit.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people are struggling to, find jobs and things like that. So I think and I feel like there's also been a massive shift with a lot of that as well. I feel like after the pandemic taught a lot of people to lean on their skills. The pandemic taught a lot of people to become business savvy and to make a second income.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot more people are like, I feel like the dynamics have just changed. I think it's shifted completely. So where a lot of people were looking for, going to uni to find jobs, I feel like that might have changed slightly. And now more people are focusing on their own skills, trying to hone that and trying to take that to companies as a contractor. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. I think as well, in that regard, a lot of people lack discipline. Is another reason why they're unhappy. So you just mentioned the word joy and it reminded me of our episode. And again, Joy takes daily disciplines
Yeah.
to get to the goal,
Yeah.
or to get to, again, if you're honing in on your skills, you need to practice regularly, I guess.
Yeah.
You need to, again, do a couple of things, approach a lot of people. We're not really able to deal with rejection
That was
very
the
well.
point, yeah.
So lack of discipline is another reason as to why our generation can be very unhappy.
I was going to say as well, like, that's a good one, actually, because following on from our conversation about joy, because even just having little things that you're working towards, like having a little holiday that you take yourself on, or even just having a structure to your day. I think like, where a lot of people are working from home, I think that's also caused a lot of unhappiness. Because they're not interacting with people as much. And some people...
There's been a drive back to work in the office now, though.
Massive drive. Massive drive. I'm sure it's come from TfL, to be fair. But
listen, they're taking my money.
But like, I think a lot more people, where they're at home 24/7, I think that's also quite... It can be quite depressing. It can be good because you're saving a lot of money, but it can also be quite depressing because you're not actually going out as much. So,
or you're not going to work.
You're not going to work. And so I think going back to your point about discipline, I think that's quite important because you have to then create some form of discipline to your day where you're maybe taking yourself to go for walks in the park or going to the gym. You know, just creating some sort of structure to your day so you're not so, you know, at home all the time and you're just cooped up in the same place and not having anything to look forward to.
And then like I also think another reason why our generation is so unhappy is because everybody's trying to be rich and quickly. And people aren't trying to be wealthy.
Instant gratification.
And I feel like there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Everyone wants to make money so they can spend money. But really we want more time, less working hours. Do you know what I mean? We want to have the other skills, which again requires discipline and a lot of hard work before you can even get there. Yes, making money sounds great, but really is it the money that you want or is it the flexibility in time? Dictating your own working hours, going on holiday whenever you want to, spending more time with quality time with your partner and your kids. I feel like those are the kind of things that kind of bring you joy, but you're chasing money, which is a lot of hard work, burnout, you know what I mean? So burnout, So that's another reason why I think a lot of people are unhappy.
And I think just to extend on my previous point, actually, because it just came to me just now, isolation. I think that's probably the word I should have used. But isolation is another form of why I think a lot of our people in our generation are depressed because they're not spending enough time. Like we've grown up in an environment or in a generation where we spend a lot of time with our families. We spend a lot of time with families. We spent a lot of time with our local community. We know our neighbours. I feel like now, a lot of people don't even know their neighbours.
I don't talk to them that much.
They don't talk to their neighbours, whereas before, growing up, we used to just leave our doors unlocked and walk into our neighbours' houses and things like that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, when we was kids, I used to do this.
Like, you know, playing...
Go and knock on everyone's door and play it out.
Exactly. Whereas now, everyone seems to be like, you know, you're gamers. Everything is YouTube. Everything is social media. Everything is online. That's where you're finding your community. Whereas sometimes it's like, take yourself out. Take yourself outside of the isolation to get to know other people and meet other people.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's an interesting point, actually. I'm trying to think. I'm like, I wonder if a lot of people actually, if they would say they feel isolated. Because you know what the thing is? I feel like you can be in a room full of people and still feel that way.
Oh, no, for sure. For sure, yeah.
So I wonder what the, like if you ask people.
Consensus is on that,
what that would be, what they would say. Because I'm pretty sure people say, oh, I was with him for ages or I was in that room and I still felt lonely. So I'm very curious to ask people's, what do you think about that? Yeah, what do you think about that? That's interesting. I think those are the main reasons as to why we're unhappy. We've touched on social media, isolation, lack of discipline, the what's it called, current economy, which I think is a very interesting one. I'm trying to think what else is there. Comparison is obviously the thief of all joy. Lack of grit. We've actually touched on a few things.
We've touched on quite a few things. But yeah, let us know, you guys, what you think are some of the reasons why this generation maybe are not as happy as previous generations. Or just unhappy in general. Why are we seeing like more depression, more anxiety, more diagnosis of mental health? Mental health. That's exactly it. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. So, for sure. Au revoir for now. Au revoir.